Well, the idea of the ideal housewife was again supported by the domestic servants, which were women also, uh, who could have been low-income women, slaves, and immigrants, who, of course, doesn't seem mature enough. Even as women, uh, they should be controlled by upper class. I mean, those people of that class, those classes, was told that's 19th century. It was told that those people should be controlled by the upper classes, and in case of women of those groups or those classes, the upper class women should control those women. Um, and as a result, as an ideal Victorian housewife, they don't do any um, job basically. Um, well, still, Victorian housewife uh, as a person should also be protected by the um, man. As a result, I mean, the property, their property, and outside family manners should be basically taken care of the husband. Uh, so husbands should take care of wife, basically, like kind of a child. Should protect the woman. The women were weaker, and as slowly that relation turns into a partnership, still at many stages, even when women started to have property rights uh, and some legal ability to decide for themselves, uh, they still were considered weaker and protect they should. I mean, it was seemed natural that the property relations, those businesses are taking care of the man because men are more familiar with the outside work and know better how to do uh, how to deal with the female property. So mainly the man has control of what is owned by the family, upper class family, and ideal housewife should concentrate at home and basically the domestic relations rather with domestic relations and regulate those relations, not uh, think about, let's say, uh, those legal things, legal things, or the political sphere and economics beyond the household. Also, they should not think about that. And that idea of ideal housewife, the cult of domesticity, which actually has developed very much parallel. We are not talking on that, but cult of childhood. I mean, children should be protected from outside work; they should not work, which might be more healthy for the children's uh, development. Still, however, of course, children in many ways were part of the production process within the society, of course, close to their families, not separated from the families, but throughout the history. And now it's assumed that there should be a part of childhood where children should be uh, uh, excluded from the social work and spend time exclusively for their development, um, which might be right, but we might also discuss whether can that development go with a healthy amount of involvement of children into the in the uh, social work also, but also of course that social work should be designed in a way that children should be protected since they are not uh, certainly developed enough. I mean, their understanding and ability to develop, protect themselves is limited all the way up to maybe um, 18, maybe in some cases 20, 21-year-old time. So um, uh, the people who organize the work should be aware that their workers are children, not adults. But anyway, that's a small point to make. The cult of domesticity of women and cult of childhood developed at the same time. And cult of childhood you might call it, invention of childhood or discovery of childhood also. You might think it's not a cult, but it's actually a reality that is discovered in the 19th and 20th century. A more healthy way to raise children, which was economically maybe not affordable, but now it's affordable, so we should do it. But we might also maybe to some extent question it, not discredit it, but to some extent question it. To what extent it's right or wrong. I, as a child, would like to have a healthy amount of social work, which I would like to take in, participate as a volunteer, for example. But anyway, so this ideal Victorian housewife model has been in future in time has gone down throughout society, and for all levels of the society, first middle class and then the low income groups started to view the woman working at least outside of the home. Of course, not everyone can afford domestic servants, but at least woman working outside of the home is something unnatural. Women should be inside of the home and protected and only work within the protected sphere of the house, basically. And this is how Barker explains the family wage campaign has developed in England and United States, basically. But in time, and here I should take something from Goldin, basically. How does this cult of domesticity in time broken? It is broken because women, increasingly as the income level of the family rise up, also started to get educated. As they got educated, first exclusive female schools, and then it was mixed. That education gives women the skills which they could use to enter to the labor force, and those skills allowed them in time also develop some female dominated sectors in which they were taught to be protected because the bulk of work, the significant portion of the workers were female in those sectors. And in time, also as working women becomes something more normal, women start to work also in other sectors, even where men are dominating, even when men are dominating those sectors. So initially, that entrance of women to the labor force doesn't erase the idea that the women are primarily responsible for the household work. So this is what Barker calls transitional family, where women work outside of the home, earn income, but also do the work within the household, which means household work, domestic work, plus childcare and also care of any family member who is also who also cannot look after himself or herself. So this is the case in which feminists call that women bear a double burden. So burden to work outside, but burden also work within the household. And the income they earn contribute to the family, but they should also work within the family, within the household, and to household jobs. That's the second shift of work they need to do. while for men, the only the market work they do is enough, basically. Of course, to some extent, men become primarily responsible for the getting sufficient income for the household also. Uh, so, in that sense, it become male responsibility to basically get sufficient money into the household. Uh, but when women share that responsibility, men don't automatically also share the responsibility within the household. And in transitional families, working women become something increasingly normal, but men doing household work within the house or doing childcare, for example, was not that normal. Um so, uh, but this family itself is also transforming into a different type of family types, although it still exists, and traditional family also still exists, and um the new family types, which according to Barker, might become the way the society ultimately goes, or maybe all of these family types to some extent might exist and together side by side. Are well, according to her, I mean, she named three models at least. I don't know, maybe another model can also be told. The first one is universal breadwinner, caregiver parity, and universal caregiver. Um, so, one model is where man is uh, man is doing market work, woman is doing household work, but woman's work in the house is recognized. So basically, the somehow, even though women are still doing the household and domestic work in the private sphere, uh, social structure, social awareness give them equal power, both within the family but within the society, compared to the man. That's the first option. The second option is the uh, man and woman both work outside, earn money, and spend their money to buy their needs. So, what was initially done within the household to buy the woman is now bought by the market. So, now only the market or social work exists, and basically everything the household needs is taken from the social sphere of production. Last model is universal caregiver model, was it, as I believe. Um, the uh, Both men and women share household work and the market work. So both men and women do market work, both men and women do household work, and in both cases the work is shared by both, basically. So man does part of the household work as woman share part of it, and uh, well, and they both work and earn money, basically. So in this case, the part of the household work stays, and maybe even it stays because people enjoy. I don't know whether um having everything bought by the market is something desirable, even if possible, by the families. I mean, families might very well spend some time to do certain work within the household by themselves, maybe. And but if this is the case, then that household work should be shared also as much as market work, according to Barker, to have a egalitarian, equal family model. In the next part, we will look to the next article, Golden, to see the trend of women's participation in the labor force.